Hey fishers, we got a little bit of time before sundown, so we're gonna get the boat out and we're gonna go out and see if we can have any luck on the water. I'll check in with you as soon as we get hooked up. Take care. I got one. Yes. Yeah, he's not much of a fighter. He's done. He just gave up. He just gave, well, he is a little guy too. Yeah.
Got him right in the gill and the
All right. Hey fishers, just finishing up out here on the lake. I think there's probably a video, if the footage came out, of me pulling in a nice little trophy size bass on a cheap Bass Pro Shops dollar bin crankbait. I don't know if I said it in that video clip or not, but I love that crankbait. I've caught a ton of bass on that crankbait. So check out the dollar, I think it was $2.50 at the little discount bin at Bass Pro Shop. But anyways, after catching that thing, I was thinking about last week's video. Last week I mentioned how much trouble I had catching that first fish. And so I thought I'd share a little bit about that because the crankbait has a little bit to do with it. But basically what happened, my buddy wants to take me out fishing. I've never been fishing before, so I told him, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. He says he'll teach me. We get out there to the lake and he says essentially bass like to hang out at all the laydowns and the tree trunks and all that stuff. And I thought, hey, this sounds pretty simple. So it's the dead heat of the summer, like noon, okay? Hot as could be. And we're going around this whole lake. I don't even remember what lake it was, but we're hitting every tree stump, every rock, everything, anything that's in the water, and not a single bite for the whole day. So we just kind of concluded that there was no fish in that lake, and we went on to a different lake the next weekend. Same thing happens, hot, we go around the whole lake, tree stump, rock, tree stump, whatever, and didn't catch a single bite. Then we go to a different lake the next week, and you know what happens. Eventually I just kind of give up because nothing's working, right? So it wasn't until years later with these guys when they decide, you know, they're gonna teach me / make fun of me. They bring me out, and again, it was the hot midday summer, 95 degrees, and here I am trying to fish in a foot of water at every tree stump that we passed, and they, you know, kindly, it wasn't kindly, but anyways, they explained to me that, you know, fish aren't going to be hanging out in a foot of water at 12 noon in 95 degree summer. They explained to me that the fish like to go deeper to maintain their body temperature, and that's when they introduced me to crankbaits, which here's, I hope this shows up on the film, but this is that's one of his. But anyways, the Guide Academy said that we would catch a fish on that right over there, and we haven't caught squat with that thing yet, but I'm sure we will. But anyways, where am I going with this? Okay, so obviously this whole thing with the crankbaits might seem a little, it might be common sense to everybody else out there, and I'm the dummy, right? Well, okay, that's all right. But here's my question. If it's so obvious out here on the lake with a fishing pole trying to catch a fish. Why is it not so obvious when it comes to our prayer life? Sometimes in our lives, it gets hot, it gets heated. We start going through some troubled times, and we're not seeing the fruits from our prayer in our lives. And so what can we learn from a crankbait? We can learn that it might be time in our prayer life to just go out to the deeper water, to throw out into the deep. God has called each of us to a mission. I mentioned that in the last video. And what is that mission? What has He called you to? Well, go out into the deep water. Reach out to Him in love. Reach out to His heart. And He will reveal His plan for you. He will reveal His mission for you. Go out deep. And in the deep, He will guide you. He will direct you, and He'll send you out on that mission we were talking about last time. He will send you out to do what only you can do, to change the world in only a way that you can change. It's obvious when we're out here fishing in the heat of the summer. It should be that obvious in our prayer lives also. So I'm challenging you fishers, become men of prayer, but not just men of prayer. Become men of deep prayer. Deep prayer. Go out into the deep water and be filled with Him, and then go out and change the world. See you guys next week.
We are fishers of men. We are challenging men to grow in holiness through spiritual formation, service, prayer, and brotherhood. The world needs good men with good hearts to lead the world back to holiness. God is calling you to be that man. Men, we are challenging you. Change your heart. Change the world. Be a fisher of men.